This is Due By Friday, the weekly challenge podcast with Merlin Mann, Alex Cox, and Max Temkin. This week's challenge, use your voice.
Hello. Hi, Merlin.
Hey, Merlin.
Hello.
I think
I'm
I figured
Peggy.
out why the show is so bad. It's so quiet.
It's always bad. It's
so
always quiet.
No, I think I figured out why the show was so bad last week.
Because you guys edit too much. Too much editing.
No, I think. Oh my God, the last week was saved in the edit. Worst thing we've ever recorded. I think it was because I was on my laptop. I think I was cranky and I was on my laptop and I wasn't really paying attention. I could tell I wasn't paying attention because I'd periodically jump into the conversation and be talking about something completely different than what you guys were talking about.
Red.
I really like how one person referred to the first portion as a cold open. No, Max was there. He just talk.
Yeah, I just wasn't paying attention. Can you turn me up? It's
I can.
or my headphones. I don't know what's going on here.
You sound like Jay-Z. Turn me up on my headphones.
Turn it up in the headphones. Now it's too loud. I don't want any hearing damage.
It's not funny when it's too hot.
See, that's why we don't mix it high, everybody, is because you're all gonna get hearing damage. Bring headphones or bring earplugs to concert, kids.
I
Thank you.
don't know if you know, Alex, but the show's a little quiet compared to other shows. Have you heard this?
I played it. If it's if the volume is good enough for the talk show, I feel like it's good enough for us. But maybe my standards are too low. That was mean. You were lovely on the talk show this week.
Did you hear about Splatter? Did you know? I mean, obviously, as a kombucha and Man Wipes fan, you know about the problem of splatter. Alex, you have certainly shot on your balls at one time or another.
Oh, of
Did you know that it was such a problem? Max, there's a brand of toilet that comes out now that the focus of their advertising push is that it gets rid of the splatter in a toilet. It's got a Turbo Max, I think it's called.
Uh-huh.
So if you splatter, let's say you shit on your balls.
Let me tell you, I splattered some toilets this weekend.
I had to stop the kombucha. Only this morning am I returning to kombucha.
I'm still not back. I got so basically what happened was, man, I really got fucked here. I went on this cruise and I did not get norovirus on the cruise. I've now gone on 2 cruises and not gotten norovirus because I wash my hands compulsively when I go to conventions and when I'm in public places. Constantly washing my hands, very diligent. I'm like a fly. Like I'm always like washing my little antenna before I eat, and I'm very, very clean. And I rarely get sick. I don't ever get what people call adorably they call it con crud, but really what it is some sort of like either the flu or norovirus. And I didn't get anything on the cruise. I came back, but I think what happened was a bunch of people went to PAX and got a bunch of like norovirus and flu. They brought it back to the office. I got it from them. Spent the whole weekend throwing up. It's just splattering all over some toilets. I'm proud to say that I threw up more times this weekend than I think I have cumulatively in my entire life leading up to this weekend. Maybe I don't remember some throwing up in my childhood. That's
Wow.
But I think I probably could count on one hand the number of times I remember throwing up.
Wow.
And I threw up 7 times this weekend.
Did you get down the dry
that's
heaves?
it?
Oh boy, I'm not even counting the dry heaves.
Oh, sure. That doesn't count.
I mean, I was dry heaving and holding my phone in the other hand and Googling how to stop dry heaving. And I learned a lot about throwing up.
Can you think of a couple little capsule things you might want to share with our listeners?
Well, so I think everybody must have. I think the way you throw up is a little bit like your fingerprint. Like I think it's a little bit special to you.
Oh yeah.
Because I've seen a lot of throwing up in movies and TV. And I do not throw up like those people. It's very violent. I throw up like how a dad sneezes. Like there's a lot of like yelling. It's very propulsive. I didn't even know where. I throw up like some sort of like a kung fu movie. Like I'm trying to like punch through a guy's heart. Like it's like
X-23 knifing somebody.
It's crazy. I didn't even know where those sounds came from. Because I don't have a lot of energy. I mean, I'm like lying on the floor. And it's just like,
I'm so good at vomiting. You know me, I don't like to brag, but I fucking kill it. I just walk up I walk up, I open my mouth wide like this, and I go, and everything just comes out flawlessly. I walk away, I go back to my business. I could do it all day. I should throw up. You know what? I could go pro. I could give me a green jacket. I'm so fucking good at vomiting, and I don't do it nearly enough. I only vomit every few years, which sucks.
Do you have any advice? Do you have any advice for me? Because here's the thing: is it was very messy.
Well, okay, I got some vomiting tips.
Is there some sort of like? Do you put a little English on it? You know what I mean? Do you shape your mouth in a way? You got a little spin. It's like a football. You get a little spin on it.
Yeah, like a little vomit, like a trebuchet. Yeah, I think you could do that. I mean, one thing is to learn to listen to your body, and like if you get the feeling, if you have the feeling more than once, where you go, ooh, I got a feeling I'm going to throw up. You need to go to the bathroom now because you're not going to get too many more warnings. So that's number one. Get ready. Now, here's the thing. If you know you're going to vomit, let go and let God. Like, stop worrying about it, because the worst part is the nausea, the nauseousness. That's the part that's troubling. Is like, holy shit, I think I'm gonna blow. If you're gonna blow, Hakuna Matata, open it up, let it go, throw yourself into it, and yeah, you're right, and just go like, you know what, each one of these could be the last one, but it doesn't need to be. Accept that. It's a very mindful process, because if you're struggling, you're gonna be going, oh my god,
that was me.
And don't do that. You don't want to do that. It scares your family. Don't be a reluctant barfer. Put your back into it.
That was me.
Oh.
I was very. I did not want to let it happen.
Yeah.
I went kicking and screaming. Boy, I don't like being nauseous. I mean, I feel like that's kind of an obvious thing, but it just doesn't get said enough. Of like, man, it's really the worst. It probably is actually the worst thing you can feel.
What about passing out? Have you ever passed out?
I don't think I've ever passed out.
Oh,
Have you, Alex?
Oh yeah.
That's a terror. That's like nausea cubed. It's really, really bad, because there's this thing that happens, and you hear that phrase tunnel vision, and you don't really know what tunnel vision is until it's happening. You go, oh, I'm having tunnel vision. And suddenly you get this like Doctor Strange hallway in front of your face, and like, what's going on? Why is my house an accordion? And you go like, oh, I'm totally gonna fucking pass out. And before you can finish that thought, you're on the ground. It's the worst. It's a terrible feeling. Now, I don't have that many tips on passing out, but I'm gonna work on it. I'm gonna say avoid edible marijuana would be my top tip.
You have had some bad experiences with
I
marijuana.
passed out twice from edible marijuana, and I will never have it in my body ever again.
I don't like the edibles either.
I don't buy that marijuana is ever laced with anything, but it seems like what's happening to your body is just things that should not happen.
No, I have a theory about this. Merlin, do you like a painkiller? How does that make you feel when you
not a huge fan. I'm kind of, I don't want to say I'm immune, but like they don't make me happy and they don't help that much.
So when I take any sort of like sedative or painkiller or anything like that, I get very sweaty and clammy.
Talk about this, Max. You when you go to the dentist, you don't want to be out. If they had to operate on you, you say you want to be awake.
That's right. So I think it's basically you're either kind of a stimulant person or a sedative person. And I have a lot of friends who are sedative people. Like, they love pills and they love getting drunk, and it's just the effect of taking a sedative is not always that it makes you slow and sleepy. If you're a sedative person, you could take a sedative and it gives you tons of energy and you get really excited and you have like a kind of a Dr. House thing going on, right?
First time, oh God, the glory days, the salad days. My friend said, you have ADD, right? And I was like, whatever. Let's ride bikes. And she's like, no, you've totally got ADD. And I said, and she said, here, take 2 of these. And she gives me 2 Adderalls. I'm like, whatever. And I took an Adderall, and it was like, boom. Like, I had energy, I had focus, but I had never felt quite so calm in my entire life. Do you know what I mean? That's how you have the ADD, is if you take something like that, and instead of like wanting to go out and disco dance, you're like, I could write everything today.
Oh, I have the same experience. I just feel normal and productive when I'm on stimulants. But for me, it's like a Claritin D and a bunch of coffee, and I'm like, all right, let's do this. Like, I feel like a functional person. But here's my theory: is I think that edible marijuana has more of a sedative effect over a longer period of time, like a more pronounced sedative effect. And stimulant people don't like it. It makes them feel bad.
Also, Alex, aren't you pretty? I mean, you tell me, but it sounds like you're pretty careful about sourcing of these sorts of things. So, like when you get your sleepy time lozenge, like you have a pretty good idea of what the effect is going to be, what the dosage is going to be.
Yeah, it's literally on the package that has. I do enjoy Seattle's laws that make it like impossible to open the little sleep time lozenges if you are already intoxicated, because they need to be childproof. But yeah. It's 10 milligrams and you just go to sleep and then you wake up, you feel fine. Whereas sleeping pills, like, see, that's the thing, like full on sedatives and like opiates, I'm like, no. And it just makes me feel tired for like 4 days straight. It's very strange.
That's me with a documentary before I go to sleep. I get about 10 milligrams of doc. I watched Merlin's hip hop documentary that you talked about.
Did you watch the first episode?
The first one is I mean, it's really it was pretty. I watched it all. It was pretty.
The other ones are fine, but the first one was amazing.
Like, goddamn, humans will never be as cool as they were in 70s disco.
Am I right? Grandmaster Flash in the kitchenette with Fab Five Freddy watching him spin. Is that not like the single, like, empirically coolest thing you've ever seen in your life?
It's the birth moment of, it's like that is like the moment of our entire popular culture. It's crazy. And it's crazy that they're all living people and that you can go do a documentary with these living guys. And I mean, the interview with Grandmaster Flash is the crowning moment of that whole documentary.
He's so funny.
He's amazing. He's such a weirdo, just a weird guy. But it's crazy because it's this one guy, and he's like, I grew up and I loved spinning things, and then I learned how I learned how to loop the turntables with a crayon, where I'd mark it off and then count the number of turns. And there you go. You have one guy who's like kind of autistic and figured out how to manipulate the turntables really well, and boom, $1 billion industry and the entire course of Western civilization and popular culture.
And I'm like, also just like, of course, as you do when you're having your 10 milligrams of Grandmaster Flash, I'm on Wikipedia at the same time. And like, a lot of the documentaries go like, oh, something black people, something Puerto Ricans. And in this case, you're meeting the actual people. I don't know if everything in that is true, but I get the sense that, yeah, these are like, who was the guy? Like Kool Herc, or like the original like DJ guy, like back in the day. Anyhow, but you're watching this, so I go to Wikipedia, and Grandmaster Flash is credited like, he like made scratching, or he made beat mixing and all that stuff into this thing that we now think of today. But he actually invented like 4 different methods. He is like the Thomas Edison of the turntable. He came up with stuff that people are still using to this day. He came up with that within like a couple years. It's mind blowing.
And you know what's interesting is they go to the people who invented the actual rap, and I like the interviewer in this. I thought he was smart because he would go to the guy who's like, the first rapper, right? Who would be like giving shout outs.
The guy that would he would start out just like doing shout outs to his friends in the audience.
Shout outs to his crew, right? And he would say to that guy, well, what inspired you to do this? Which is a great question to ask someone who was the first guy to do something where it rarely gets asked. But of course that's what you want to know is like, well, what were you thinking about when you were the pioneer of this thing? And he was like, well, I was listening to these old, I don't know what it is, even like blues albums. Like there was that one guy, like, what was he like? The Hog Man?
It's the
House Trotters.
Pigmeat Markham.
Pigmeat Markham. And then they play
Here come the judge. Here come the judge.
But that's totally rap.
It's totally, you go and listen to it, and I'm like, I remember my dad, that was a Sammy Davis bit on Laugh-In when I was a kid. I'd never heard Pigmeat Markham. That was something my late father used to say all the time. He'd say, here come the judge. And then I went back and I listened, Pigmeat Markham, 1968. You know what, we're going to put this in show notes. I want you to stop and go listen to Here Come the Judge from, I think it's 1968. It is more so even than Rapper's Delight. It is a hip-hop song in 1968.
I'm sorry, everyone. I apologize. We're already now it's a bad episode again.
No, why do you say things like that? You guys, you millenniums and your standards. It's exhausting.
I'm sorry. I just realized I got so excited about the hip hop. Anyway, that documentary rules. Go watch it.
Speaking of hip hop.
Yeah. So Max, what did you do last Friday? Wednesday, whatever.
Friday, Wednesday. How are you talking
Thursday.
about?
You went to see Hamilton.
Oh, right. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mostly was thinking about the vomiting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Close the bug.
So I got you something.
Oh,
So these. Do you enjoy these at the theater?
No.
They're balls that you can suck on in the theater. So really, I would invite you to please suck my theater balls. They're very good. They're really good. You'll enjoy them, and I think you should return to them again and again.
I just want to say that I do like this candy, and I am going to eat these, but I'm just going to be enjoying the candy. I will not be sucking on anyone's balls. Well, I just got owned so hard just for going to like this thing. All right. Do you want my actual critique of Hamilton?
I don't want your critique. Yes. Okay. Fine.
I thought it was so. First of all, I really enjoyed it, and I was very entertained for all 8 hours of it. And I barely noticed. Like, listen, I have a sort of a rule of thumb. I go see a lot of theater and a lot of comedy, and I have sort of a rule of thumb of like, if after the show, if I can describe to you anything about the lighting grid or the theater space that we were in, it was probably a bad show. It was a show where I was looking around for something to think about other than what was happening on stage, enough that I could like diagram the lighting plan on the back of a napkin afterwards. I could not tell you one fucking thing about the theater where Hamilton happened. I mean, I was really sucked into it.
Wow. But how about that turntable? Isn't that crazy?
It was cool. It was cool. The staging, it was good. It was less. Here's what I'll say. It was less like Wikipedia rap than I was led to believe.
Okay.
And there was less like I'm rhyming with Monticello, and the audience, you all love that because you heard about this in your social studies class, and then everyone cheers.
Yeah.
So it was less of that, and it was more of a human story, and it was more of a. And I liked the story with Liza and Hamilton, his son,
Schuyler
and that
sisters,
stuff was all good. It was good. It was really well done. So now having seen it, my probably my biggest sort of nitpick with the show, and it is a really smart, good piece of media, but my whole nitpick with the show is that it does cast Burr as the villain, and rightfully so. Like, I don't think he occupies like a great space in American history, and for me, what I don't like about Burr is that he introduced the sort of naked partisanship and scheming political machinations into American politics in a way where he's the most identifiable guy when you think about that. And the show sort of dings Burr for that throughout by saying, like, well, he never tells you what he's for or what he's against, and he's always sort of hiding his intentions. And Hamilton wears it on his sleeve, and he fights for principle. Well, go ahead and say what those principles are, why don't you?
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, if you in a blind Pepsi challenge, if you showed people what Burr believed and what Hamilton believed, I would almost definitely pick Burr.
Well, I mean that's a fair point, but also like for such a brilliant musical that has so much commentary to offer, where the major attack on the bad guy is that he doesn't tell you his positions. Well, why don't we spend two minutes telling me what Hamilton and Burr believe? And what's
right.
their political philosophy? What motivates them? Like, why is there a whole rap battle about where the capital should be located? And that's fine. That's a interesting debate, and it showed how a little bit of how Hamilton thinks. I mean, that was a cool moment, but like. You're telling me that there wasn't also... I mean, we spent 5 minutes on that. There wasn't also 5 minutes on what they believed about mankind and about where sovereignty comes from and what their political beliefs were. That was my only complaint about it. But and I understand it's a very Max complaint to have about it, to say that this like academic like hip-hop musical wasn't academic enough. But I ultimately felt like these characters the whole point is that they're like dying for their beliefs, and they're
also, I mean, like such a big part of the narrative that I'm not saying this excuses that, but another huge part of the narrative is just the raw ambition of that character, where he was, a couple of the big themes are what was he say? Wrote his way out, right? That he's constantly, this prolific writer and speaker. And, that's the record does reflect that. But the other part is his naked ambition and how that ends up being his undoing in a lot of ways. So I'm not saying that like covers it up. You're right. I mean, you could make it like 9 hours long and probably have a lot more in it and some Schoolhouse Rock. But like I like that theme of it. Let me ask you this. Here's the crazy one. So my history with this was, very briefly, that, and I have suggested this, I've counseled my kids on this, to get started with Hamilton. I think it helps to start by listening in sort of concentric circles, where you start out, like if you don't like the first song, you're probably not going to like the rest of this. If you don't like My Shot, you're really not going to like this. But that's how I would listen to it. I would listen to like the first couple songs for a while. Then I was listening to the first 5 songs. Then I was listening through the Schuyler Sisters part. I didn't listen to the second act of this for over 6 months. I listened only to the first act.
Wow.
So, yeah, so I'm getting somewhere with this, which is the first act is, I mean, now that so sure, it's a long, if you're not familiar with it, it's a very long musical, but like, well, if you were to be a person who became more familiar with it, you'd be surprised how fast the entire thing goes by, especially the second act. So my question to you is, how did you feel about the second act, which is the much more about the feels? Did it touch you? What
Yes.
happens in the second act?
Yeah, I didn't. I went with our friend Tommy, and Tommy like wept continuously throughout almost the entire play.
Oh, the last third of it is just basically from the third duel to the end. I'm sobbing the
From
entire
Take
time.
a Break onward, I'm crying. It's just it's
Yeah, that's true. But also, really, with Burn, the Morrissey song "Burn," like from there to the end, I'm broken. And to this day, almost a year and a half into listening to this, still when she says she wants to tell you about the orphanage, I still get misty every time she says she wants to talk about the orphanage.
got
I know
me.
it's corny, but like it still kills me.
Yeah, that got me.
well, so it's really interesting because my Max complaints.
Ouch, I
I'm
got
sorry.
these theater balls in my mouth.
Get some man wipes.
Max's complaints were actually really similar to mine. The very first time I listened to the first few songs, because I was like, okay, wait a second. He didn't punch the bursar. That's a lie. Like this, I immediately was like, okay, this isn't true. This isn't true, and kind of got all snooty.
You fell down the well, actually.
Yeah, yeah, and well, because in high school for all of our AP classes, we needed to choose a like basically write a thesis paper, a very broad. It was stupid, and so I for American history I chose Hamilton because of course I did. His name was similar to mine, and why not? And I went into the play being very like, okay, this takes a lot of liberties. But then you listen to Satisfied and I'm like, holy shit, this is a musical. And just kind of like spirals out from there. And especially the Eliza story. And I'm reading the Ron Chernow documentary, the book now, and it's just...
That's a big book.
I'm about 10 hours in. It's been about a month. But it's just so good.
It's very well written and paced. Given as long as it is, he's a very gifted storyteller, Chernow.
And I wonder how, like, I guess I could come out. I'm just trying to think, like, because I have this whole history with Hamilton, like, I feel like I could come out of the play and being like, yeah, he cared very much. Like, he says, what does he call Washington? Does he actually call him Your Grace in the play? I forget. But it's like he cared very much about a strong central government, blah, blah, blah. And like, but the play isn't about that. And I wonder, though, because I was talking to my mom the other day on the phone and I was like, oh, because I'm trying to convince her to come see it with me. And she's like, even if you didn't know that Hamilton dies at the end. And she's like, wait, what? And I forget that people don't know, like, even...
I know, that's true.
I was like, what the fuck? Which was very upsetting to me, and I'm very
that's
glad
literally the only fact that I had. Well, the fact that I had was, I remember there was a famous duel between Aaron Burr and Alexander Hamilton, and I'm pretty sure one of them died.
Yeah. I was like, I thought he was president. I'm like, Jesus. And my mom is a, smart lady, but...
Bonnie's a smart lady.
She
Bonnie is my mother.
Yep. Oh, God damn it, Bonnie.
Did you,
anyway.
Can we just do just a couple seconds where you can cut these out? Can we do just one more quick Hamilton dive? In terms of seeing it live, I have not seen it live.
Right in my mouth.
I can't get into it. Let's, for the sake of argument, say there were ways to have seen this without being in the theater.
But have you really seen it, though?
Have you really seen it?
I mean, I don't think you have. Because unless you're there. Let me tell you something. The King, holy shit, so good.
He's all right.
Do you know about the history of that role?
Of course I do not.
Oh, it's kind of fun. It's a smart, like, modern media idea. And tell me if I'm wrong, Alex, but basically they designed that role. It's essentially the same song 3 times, and some hijinks. And it's designed to be a role where you could bring, if there's some kind of like singing celebrity, you could bring that person in for a week or a month. They could get up to speed on the role, do that same, which is, essentially you got to learn and master this one song and the moves. Isn't that right, Alex? So Jonathan Groff or like, you could have Martin Short come out and do it.
Oh, that'd be good. Ooh.
He would be so good at that. Yeah.
Anyway, the King stole the show.
Oh
Really?
man, Jonathan Groff is so good. Okay, but anyhow, well, I was going to say what's your favorite song, but that's probably really boring. But in terms of the staging and seeing it live, like what did you think were some of the more effective scenes? Like, okay, here's a specific one. Like when you do, I don't know if you remember Hopeless and Satisfied.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So Hopeless is where
Hopeless.
the Morrissey girl comes out and you see her story, and then there's rewind, and then Angelica has her story. How did you feel about that staging? Was that memorable to you? I guess not. Because they do a rewind and they reenact the scene that you just saw, like from a different point of view.
I only think about it, every day.
I think Hopeless is not hopeless, but
Helpless,
Satisfied.
helpless.
Has settled in after all these months has settled into being my long-term favorite song.
Email Alex at cardsagainsthumanity.com if anything was wrong in this podcast about Hamilton.
And also,
Or like if anyone said any of the names of the songs wrong.
or if perhaps Merlin called Breath of the Wild Call of the Wilds for 15 minutes. Anyway.
I'm so sorry, you guys. It's so crazy because I am such a huge fan of Wind of the Wild. I can't believe that. I love Bomber Boy.
Not a single person corrected.
God, I love
Just
our
so you
listeners.
know, Zelda is the green boy.
That's actually
Just so you
Zelda's
know.
monster.
Actually, it's Dr. Zelda. Mr. Zelda is my father. Call me Link.
I've got a little comment from a listener.
Oh yeah, tell me about it.
They said the brain of the adult manatee is about the size of a softball. This is a website that I'm reading. The brain shown here is viewed on the left side. Oh, this is really boring. Hang on. I guess I'll just go right to the joke, which is manatees have perfectly smooth brains. They look
turns out.
crazy. It goes, we think the relatively smooth cerebral cortex of the sea cow, when compared with that of the land cow, indicates that the manatee has a fewer number and variety of cortical regions, which is reflected in the relatively simple perceptual and behavioral repertoires, as well as in their relatively simple, casual, gentle, mental, social, and emotional expressions.
Oh, that's sweet.
We believe this is because manatees spend much of their life casually eating and slowly moving around to find food, quiet places to rest, and seeking out streams.
Smooth brain.
Smooth brain.
Can I just toss something out here? I don't want to sound cold or callous, but maybe you wouldn't get chewed up by so many boat engines if your brain wasn't so fucking smooth. Pick it up. Chop chop. Mach Schnell.
Well, all right.
They're floating around looking for a cabbage to eat.
Well, look at me. I'm a cabbage. Cabbage me. I'm a manatee. My brain's smooth. Mental.
As Merlin would like to say, SeaWorld is very problematic, but it's pretty funny
Problematic.
when they have a manatee section where they only have manatees that have been hit by boats.
Oh, it's so sad. Growing up in Florida, you go there and their backs are just lacerated. That was my file card on manatees for most of my life. Was just that they were so sad. Did you ever see the Seal and Otter show?
This is very sad.
Yeah, there's some that can only swim in a circle because they have one fin.
Oh no.
This isn't
my
funny.
God.
I'm sorry.
Man.
If you've ever seen a manatee in the wild, they're actually great. They're much too friendly. They probably would survive. Like they probably would not be endangered if they.
Well, I mean, I don't know. You know what?
They're
Never
big.
mind.
They're big and dumb, but hey.
Digga. Follow up.
Well, maybe this is evolutionary biology's way of like saying, hey, tick-tock.
Okay, well, this is what I was trying to talk about with the pandas, Merlin. Like,
Oh, they're so sweet.
no, at least manatees, they help. They help keep algae in check and stuff like that. Pandas do nothing. There's not like a crazy bamboo epidemic where they're just everywhere and we need to get rid of the bamboo. Like, literally, pandas have no function. And you're saying, oh, that's super cruel. Like, you shouldn't let them go extinct. But we have a ton of them in zoos, and we could slowly domesticate them so that we could basically have giant pandas that are like the oxes of
Alex,
the 30th
Alex,
century.
can I
Yes.
suggestion from the audience?
Mm-hmm.
What if we, instead of just domesticating, what if we also domesticate and miniaturize?
Exactly. Yeah. Well, that
cat's
would
eyes.
happen.
Cat's eyes.
Yeah. Well, I think it has to be kind of like at a point though where they're still boxy enough that they can pull things, because you just put like bamboo in front of them and they pull. Well, I guess we don't have carts or horses anymore. Never mind. Yeah, I'm on with Max's idea of making cat pandas.
But did you see how it kept falling on its bottom? It would fall on its bottom, and then all it wanted was to get into the basket with the leaves.
Oh, they're so dumb.
It was so sweet.
All right, follow up. Last night, so I'm done with my hip hop documentary, and now I'm watching. I've purchased and I'm watching Planet Earth 2. Holy fucking shit! Planet Earth 2 is the great. I mean, have you guys seen this?
No, I'm waiting for the office to be empty so I can use the 4K TV.
The advances in film technology and camera technology that have happened in the decades since they shot Planet Earth 1 are astounding. The quality of image that they're getting and the way that they're able. So I think they're not shooting on tripods anymore. I think everything is on a gimbal, and so they're moving. And the fact that all of these shots are moving, I mean, you're watching an hour and every single shot is the craziest, most metal nature shit you've ever seen in your life. It's crazy. So last night, I watched it. I was trying to watch I was trying to have my 10 milligrams of documentary and fall asleep last night. And instead I started Planet Earth 2, and I was fucking wired. I was wired. I was like I had a whole Ritalin. I was just like I was like furiously like Googling all the animals I saw and looking up how did they shoot this every shot. And I opened up on iTunes because you know how the old Planet Earth used to have a making of thing attached to each episode. So I was like, where on iTunes is the making of? And it's just not there because the iTunes ecosystem is so cool and awesome and easy to navigate. But I did go into the reviews for Planet Earth, and what I saw on the review of Planet Earth was 5 stars, top review, 5 stars. This just goes to show that there's an intelligent creator. And then it was like Revelations like 4:11 or something like that. And the episode that I watched that preceded this was, let me tell you what was in it that proves that there was an intelligent creator. There's a special it was Islands. It was the Islands episode. And in the Islands episode, they profile a species of bird that only lives on this island, and it lays its eggs on this tree. And the tree has developed these sticky, spiny seeds that go on the bird's back, and then the birds fly to another adjacent island and drop the seeds off, and that's how the trees move between the islands. They spread their genes throughout the islands. However, sometimes when the bird hatches, when the little baby bird hatches, it falls into the forest canopy, and it becomes covered in these sticky, spiny seeds, and they get into its feathers, and it just dies of hunger. And they show that happening. The poor bird can't get the sticky seeds out. And the tree, we call it the bird killer tree.
Happy
right there in
Lent.
Revelation.
And the birds have to lay their eggs in this tree. I guess it's the only tree that works for them. What a smart design. What a great design. Who could improve on that?
Did you follow out on any more of this person's comments? Was there any thread to other
that's fascinating.
reviews they left?
That's fascinating. I don't have my laptop out because I'm being a good boy this week, but I could try and look it up for next week. But I just thought that's the dumbest thing. I mean, the whole thing when you watch Planet Earth, you're like, none of this makes any sense. Like, it's all fucking crazy. These penguins are walking 300 miles to get a goddamn fish, and half of them die on the way there. Who would design it that way?
Not good,
It's
not efficient.
crazy. It's crazy. I would fire someone who designed something that way. It's not even a good effort. It doesn't make any sense. All it shows you is the crazy, the random contingency of everything, and the scrabble for survival with not enough resources, and the brutal nature of the earth, red in tooth and claw. The war of all against all. How could you watch that and be like, this proves that there's a divine creator?
Amazing Grace. What about this? You know, there's a section here I like on the Wikipedia called mind-altering parasites, which I highly recommend. It includes toxoplasmosis, includes zombie ants. How do you feel like that fits into God's plan?
Oh, that's
You got a feeling on that?
very interesting.
Because like it's not just mind-altering parasites and insects. There's all kinds of like opportunistic species that we're not even getting into like the invasive exotics that come in and beat up on all the wussy local plants.
I heard a great turns out about this last week, which was they recently discovered that some types of flu, when you get, or viruses, I guess, when you get them, your contact with other people is doubled during the incubation period.
Oh,
of
I
the
heard
virus.
about this. Right.
So basically what the virus does is it hijacks some part of your brain or your physiology that makes you crave being with other people.
What?
You don't perceive this, right?
Jesus
You're just like go about your life. But we study this by numbers, right? So we just count how many people does this person come into contact with, and it's twice as many when they're incubating this virus. So to me, there's sort of two things that are interesting about this, which is one, nature's really fucking figured out how to hack the ecosystem for its survival. I mean, the tree lures the birds in to lay its eggs, but then it gets the sticky seeds on them. I mean, this is what evolution does, is there's no plan. It just finds a niche, and it fills the niche until sometimes to its own detriment, both species go extinct. And that could happen with a virus. The virus could get so good at exploiting us that we both die. But although obviously that would be bad for the virus, so it's not trying to completely kill the host. That's number one. Number two is like we're so much less in control of our lives and the experiences we have than we want to think. Like if the number of people you can come into contact with is to some degree determined by a virus that you accidentally got, like really consider how much agency you have over like all of your life and your decisions.
Oh my God. No, can I read you something here? Can I read something from the internet?
Well, I mean, reading long, boring things is kind of my bit.
Okay, so you want me to send you the link?
I mean, I guess do it, but just this is patent pending Max Temkin.
Well, I know you're not. I think of you as a secular humanist, Max. Whereas I'm virtually a man of the cloth. I believe in God's plan, and that's why I want to tell you about Ophiocordyceps unilateralis, which is a fungus that works on ants. The spores of the fungus attach to the ant, eventually breaking through the exoskeleton using mechanical pressure and enzymes. Yeast stages of the fungus spread in the ant's body and presumably produce compounds that affect the ant's hemocell, utilizing the evolutionary trait of an extended phenotype to manipulate the behavioral patterns exhibited by the ant. An infected ant exhibits irregularly timed full-body convulsions that dislodge it to the forest floor. The ant climbs up the stem of a plant and uses its mandibles with abnormal force to secure itself to a leaf vein, leaving dumbbell-shaped marks on it. A search of plant fossil databases reveals similar marks. Once the mandibles of the ant are secured to the leaf vein, atrophy quickly sets in, destroying the sarcomere connections in the muscle fibers, reducing the mitochondria and sarcoplasmic reticula. The ant is no longer able to control the muscles of the mandible and will remain fixed in place. This lockjaw trait is popularly known as the death grip and is essential in the fungus's life cycle. Fungus then kills the ant, continues to grow as its hyphae invade more soft tissues and structurally fortify the ant's exoskeleton. So that's a nice thing. So this is really, it's all part of God's plan. Can I give you a pamphlet?
Have you seen the YouTube time lapse of the cordyceps fungus going to town on the ant?
No. Is that a thing?
Oh boy, is it. Listen to me, all of you out there, all of you wonderful anti-Semites listening to our podcast. Listen to me. Stop. Turn this off immediately. I don't care if you're at work or what the extent. If you're driving, pull over to the side of the road. Stop this podcast.
Oh, it's a Planet Earth. It's David Attenborough.
We're gonna put it in the show notes. But ultimately, just Google. Probably. What would you Google? Ant brain fungus?
This is really unpleasant. Look at the mandibles.
Oh.
Alex, turn your computer. I want to see it.
Oh my God.
Is this the right
I'll
thing?
put it here. I'll put it in the thing.
Oh, this is the one.
Oh my.
This is it.
What is happening?
The fungus is wait. So now it's locking its mandibles on. See how it's sort of drunkenly staggering
Jesus
around.
Oh my God! It
Christ.
goes through its head.
That's because the fungus is in its brain.
Oh my God.
Oh my God!
Ugh.
So it sort of staggers around, and now it's gonna lock on. So now we're locked, and now we're in time lapse mode, and watch that fungus go.
Oh Oh no.
Oh my God.
Listen, God has a plan.
Because life is precious in God and the Bible.
What?
Oh
the
my goodness.
fuck?
Put it in show notes.
Oh wow.
Oh boy.
Look at that fungus go.
Look at that fungus go. Hakuna Matata. Digga, digga, digga.
Jesus.
Follow up.
Merlin,
Follow
I
up.
understand
Yeah.
we're trying to do a podcast, but this fungus just won't stop.
Yes,
my-
it's only the sniffles.
Oh,
it's only
my
the sniffles.
God.
I might as well go to the convention.
Oh
Bleep
my
bloop.
God. Oh, Jesus Christ. What the fuck? See, I've seen Planet Earth. How is
I actually don't know if
hell?
that's a planet Earth or
Oh
what.
my God.
Are you seeing the mushrooms
Oh,
growing out of the
okay.
insects?
Yep.
All right, I
it's
wanted
over
to,
now. It's over now.
Digga, 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 digga.
Oh,
Follow up. Have you guys
God.
seen Mike Huckabee's jokes on Twitter?
Oh God, he's funny. I
He's doing a lot-
understand your human jokes. I mean jokes.
He's doing a lot of
Jokes
good.
are humor for humans. I mean us.
He's doing a lot of great material.
He's doing some great material. His sausage material is magnifique. That joke does not make. There's nothing about that joke that makes any sense.
He's a weird guy, man. But
It sounds like something Ted Cruz would say after he had a couple Earth drinks.
yeah. Well, Ted Cruz, for him, it's a mania because he kills a drifter and he gets so excited and he just can't help but making jokes. But
It's a long day of driving around with the dog on top of his car.
for Huckabee, well, funny you should bring up dogs. For
Funny that
Huckabee,
you should bring up the.
yeah, for former Governor Mike Huckabee, he had this one tweet that just blew my mind. So I guess he was mad at Snoop Dogg or something like that. Snoop Dogg made like an anti-Trump like track, and so he tweeted. There's a lot going on in this joke, so I'm gonna do it slowly. So here's at Mike Huckabee. Poop Dog has nephew named Bow Wow. Semicolon. Both bad dogs who advocate murder and sex slavery for POTUS and First Lady. Who let the dogs out? There's a lot going on there. He called him Poop Dog, and then he said he did a Who Let the Dogs Out in 2017. Lot of layers.
Wow.
Lot of layers.
Breaking news. Jimmy Dean Sausage Co. will be renamed Gorsuch Sausage, all caps, because he's grinding up some Democrat senators into pure pork sausage. All caps, exclamation point. Well, if it's pork sausage, how is it made of Democrat?
Well, I don't know. I can't speak to the sausage thing, but I did want to bring up that former Governor Mike Huckabee has a fun, cool relationship, family history with dogs. And this is according to the fact-checking website.
Photo, Max?
I have. It is. That dog looks very scared, and let me tell you why. This is from the website Snopes.com. On July 11th, 1998, two young men working as counselors at Camp Pioneer in Hatfield, Arkansas, killed a dog at that Boy Scout camp. One of these young men was 19-year-old Clayton Frady of Texarkana, and the other was David Huckabee, the youngest son of Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee. David Huckabee was 17 at the time of the slaying, although he would turn 18 less than 2 weeks older. Both young men were fired over the incident. So basically what happened was a stray dog wandered onto this camp property, and Mike Huckabee's son tortured and killed the dog.
Yeah.
And we know this because of public records.
That dog does look scared. Look at that family photo. There's this story arc in Adventure Time. It's a kind of a weird B story where the character Lemon Grab, who is a lab-produced creature, Lemon Grab goes and Lemon Grab has like an exact twin, and the two of them use candy from Princess Bubblegum to do nothing but create these horrific clones of themselves. That are like, it's like totally like Island of Dr. Moreau. This is like if Lemon Grab made Huckabees.
Oh my God. This photograph.
Acceptable.
I can't.
The dog looks the most surprised to be there.
Oh God.
Well, she's got like a kind of a cute Rachel Bilson thing, but like the four other adults just all look like they're made from the same broken DNA.
Anyway, listen, I don't work for Mike
No.
Huckabee. I don't work for Mike Huckabee. But if I did, my advice to him would be don't make a lot of dog jokes because your son killed a dog.
There's dogs in lots of these photos, Max. I don't know if you've noticed. If you go search on Huckabee family, not to be creepy,
Uh-huh.
you get dogs and guitars and handshakes and Lemon Grab.
Do you think any Republicans watch Adventure Time and think, "Oh, hey, it's like me"? Like just they see like.
Unacceptable.
How does your daughter
7 years
watch that
dungeon, no
episode and
trials.
not have nightmares, Merlin?
That picture, huh?
It's so
But you see the lemongrass thing because you're like, they all look like they're kind of made out of mashed potatoes and Bibles.
Do you guys have any fun stories about torturing and killing dogs? Have you guys ever done that?
Do I? More like Democrat sausage. Am I right? A pie. This is a joke I make. Follow up. We got lots of toots from people who either suggested bespoke Max meditation apps, or people who have offered to make apps, or people who are making apps. Who wants to cover? Who wants to let the dogs out on follow up for meditation apps?
Listen.
Okay, I'm going to say, how about Alex does the follow up on this?
All right, I did find someone sent me an app that does what I want, and it's on the market already, and it's called Still. And what it is a timer and a chime, and it syncs with HealthKit.
Well, thank you to all our listeners for their.
All right. Well, hold on. There's a couple. We'll put them in show notes. Although our friend Ben made one called Catnap that started to just go exclusively to my taste. I think I'm gonna ask him to have the chime be a cat noise, because really that's how all of my meditations ends, is with a cat in my ass or not a cat.
Sure.
My stammer is funny. A cat in my face with its ass rubbing against me and just like, but it's called Catnap. And I will say, of all of the meditation apps, it is my favorite icon. So yeah, check that out. Catnap by Ben Rice. But please stop sending us workflows.
All right, stop now. It's freaking us out.
Please stop.
Honestly, we got 300 workflows. Listen, I know that you can do this stuff in workflow. I'm not that, but I just don't. It's just like I don't want to. Like I don't want to spend my life configuring a workflow.
Sometimes when people contact you, it's not
app.
about the thing. It's about saying, I love you, Max. That's what it means. Try to be gracious. People are being nice because they want to say hello.
I should say, the majority of people were very, very nice. Thank you so much. But the people who try to DM you about why aren't you using this workflow?
Listen to me, everyone. Don't make an app for a podcast you listen to. Call your congressman. Honestly, it's disturbing. It's disturbing. We don't care about you. You're meaningless to us.
Oh my goodness! I think if you hear any idea, it's
listen, we don't even have any ads on this thing. You're nothing. You're nothing to us. You have no value. Don't do anything to us. The relationship is not reciprocal. We don't like you.
Oh my god!
I don't even care if you listen or not. But don't make things for the podcast. It's a tremendous waste of your time.
Breaking news: Jimmy Dean is changing his name. It's a podcast sausage because Gorsuch is making so much fan mail that fanfic art is little Fanny sausage.
If you would like to see, now I feel like we have this power though. Like,
slave.
I just went on Twitter and there's another iOS app. This one has a really good icon though.
Yeah, so, Catnap has a great icon. What's on Twitter now?
Here's another one called Omo, O-M-O.
Omo.
Wait, are there ads on this? Thank you, Jenny, for Omo.
Oh, there's Jenny Javert. Jenny Javert. Jenny Javert.
Follow up. This is from The Verge. Today, some Google Home owners reported hearing something extra when they asked for a summary of the day ahead from the smart speaker. An advertisement for the opening of Beauty and the Beast. Some Android users also reported hearing the ad through Google Assistant on mobile. The ad was delivered using the regular Google Assistant voice, so it blended in seamlessly with the other My Day information, weather, calendar appointments, etc. But some people still weren't happy about it.
Is it really an ad? Is it really an ad?
Well, no, I don't think it's an ad. I think that it's helpfully telling people when they ask for the weather, it's helpfully telling them that a new movie that they may love is out.
It's an integrated vertical product pointer.
That's an experience. I mean, that's a value add. Really, that's an added value.
Experience.
Max, did you hear Google's actual response to this?
What was their actual response to this?
This isn't an ad. The beauty in the assistant is that it invites our partners to be our guest and share their tales.
That makes me want to die. Can I? So I have a question. Can our podcast
throw up again?
Can our podcast buy an ad on Google Home so that when people ask, so when people go, what do you even say to make the Google Home go?
Okay, Google.
So what people would say, so they go, okay, Google, what time is it? And then Google would be like, did you know that Mike Huckabee's son killed a dog in 1998?
Do I need an umbrella today? Suck my balls. Suck my balls.
This message was brought to you by your friends at America's #1 anti-Semitism podcast. I'll be honest, we may drop a few rankings after my little tirade about the apps.
And I will say, literal trigger warning, I'm not going to bleep out any of the "Hey Dingus" as we accidentally say.
Also, here's the situation. I know that I know that some people may stop listening because I yelled at them about the apps. But also, one of the people from The Daily Show was a Jew. So, you know...
I like it when you don't use your computer.
So the standards are very low.
Have you always been capable of this, but you've just been looking at Twitter the whole time?
I told you, Merlin, it's such a high compliment when Max doesn't have his laptop. So he's not even holding his phone right now. What?
Oh my God.
God, something's going on. Okay. Well,
Listen, I had a lot of toxins in my body. I threw them all up, and now it's just the powders are left. I've rebuilt myself. I'm more powerful than ever. I have a powder-based skeleton. Can't be destroyed. Alex accused me of having bad gaydar.
I've heard your gaydar is not good at all, is what I heard.
It's not great. It's not great.
Impeccable gaydar. Someone told me Ellen Page was gay.
Oh, she's totally gay. She's totes gay.
She's been gay for here's Max. Did you know Tim Cook was gay before he publicly came out?
Tim Cook?
Yes.
Tim Cook?
Gay?
Oh my God.
The operations guy at
Jesus
Apple?
Christ.
That's
All
weird.
right. Okay.
I found another.
Let me tell you something, though. Donald Trump is gay. 100%. I guarantee it.
Totes gay.
No way.
He's gay.
No.
Look at how he speaks. He's very fey and flamboyant.
Are we?
Have you
so is it
been
because of
have you
his
been
hands?
watching Peter Serafinowicz's? Do you watch his videos?
I have. That's what keyed me off to it, but now I can't unsee it. Do you
No,
know
it
about
hides in
these?
plain sight.
The sassy Trump?
Sassy Trump.
Oh yeah.
Trump is so gay.
Totes gay.
I would love it. I can't get my hopes up. I just can't think these good thoughts. It just no. We'll get him this time.
Oh, they got him this time. This is the worst day that he's ever had. Not coming back from this one. Tuesday. Do you listen to John Dickerson's diary on Friday nights?
I do not know.
I subscribed to it after you told me about it, and I still haven't listened to it because I have too many podcasts. Did you guys listen?
I know.
Did you guys listen to the Richard Simmons podcast?
Yes.
I got sucked into it based on the sort of spectacle and the hype, and I felt very dirty. I didn't like it.
I felt dirty. By the second episode, I was like, where is this? Like, is there a chance that you could just realize? Because, okay, here's the thing you got to know about this guy. He was going to make a documentary about Richard Simmons. You know this, right?
Go on.
That's the whole bit is he was going to do a documentary with Richard Simmons' help, I believe. Richard Simmons says, no, thanks. So anyway, that's an interesting fact to know about doing this incredibly invasive, speculative, gross podcast that I end up listening to every episode of. You know, I had misgivings. I'm sorry, I'm monopolizing this. I'd had misgivings since the beginning, but like even after the second episode, I was like, God, is there a chance that this is just maybe he's not transitioning, maybe he's not depressed, maybe he's not fat, maybe he really is actually just fucking sick of everybody bugging him, and maybe you could just go fucking leave him alone instead of speculating on whether he's becoming a woman. It's like, But I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. But, you know, it is a thing that you could be doing.
The public appreciation of Richard Simmons has always been cruel. It's always been slightly bullying, and even in the podcast, in the way that they talk about him, it's always what a character he is, and what a weirdo he is, and what
the way he
what a
oscillates
wacky guy
between
he
like
is.
over familiarity and distance. Like when it suits him, he reminds you about how tight he is with Richard Simmons, and then other times he gets all journo about it and is like, oh no, this is really just in the public interest because maybe he's sick or something, or maybe he's in danger. And it's like, no, I don't think the evidence supports that, and I think you know it.
Right. Well, that was fun. All right, challenge.
They're good.
So Veronica asked me last night what the challenge was this week, and I was like, oh, we have to like use the voice stuff on our phone. And then she was like, oh, I should try that. And she goes on Siri and she says, Siri, what time does the grocery store open? Which is the perfect question that a regular person would ask the assistant on their phone. What time does the grocery store open? Of course, for a lot of reasons, that question completely flummoxes Siri, and Siri goes to like Bing or whatever, and it's like I found like the Bing results for grocery store or something.
Here's what I could find about hours.
Yeah, right. Time is a construct created by the Gregorians, and so it was like. Then she was like, "Oh, I must not have asked it a specific enough question," and then she goes. Siri, what time does Mariano's open? And that's a much better phrased question, but still Siri completely flummoxed. For again, like Siri has no way to relate two pieces of information, like the information of a store and the one closest to you. It's like it can never figure that out. It's too much of a stretch for it to find the closest Mariano's and tell you the hours over the voice thing. It would never work. But and again, it was like I've pulled up the like here's like a dog pile search for Mariano or something like that. It was like completely useless. And then she just turned it off and went to sleep. So that's more or less.
It's actually a really telling anecdote.
Yes, that's more or less just a little parable of like basically my experiences doing anything with the voice search of like just stepping back. I know everyone who listens to this podcast is a smart genius about exactly what the constraints and capabilities of Siri are, and they've all read the goddamn like spec for it and know the API or whatever. But if you could just step back and imagine that you're just a regular human being and someone's like, oh, you can talk to your phone and ask it questions. Why would you be able to ask your phone to remind you of something in the future, but not what time your grocery store opens? Like, it doesn't make any sense. And I do know this thing fairly well, and it still doesn't fucking work, even when I ask it something I know that it can do. So I'm ready to pronounce this generation of voice technology very bad. And furthermore, if you want to get into it, I'm also ready to argue that voice technology will never be the way that we'll interact with computers. It's a uniquely bad model for HCI, and I'm happy to talk about why I think it is that. But anyway, those are my thoughts.
The challenge this week was to use your voice more. How'd it go, Max? I don't think we mentioned what the challenge was, but yeah. So okay, you're right. You're absolutely kind of right on a couple things, for sure.
I did find out. I do think.
But I like my horse.
I do think.
Her name is Posey, and she's sweet.
I think Alexa works pretty well.
Oh.
And I did start using the voice thing on the Siri remote.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And that.
Oh, right. For like your TV.
For my TV, and when it works better than typing out than sort of hunt and pecking.
It's a bit of a savior if you're doing anything with TV shows in particular.
Yes.
Like if you bought TV shows, it's a godsend. If you were the kind of person who had over 60 episodes of Doctor Who, like this is the only way to deal. It's like bug it, scroll. I think your lady friend summed it up really well. I mean, I could well actually at you and say, well, actually, there are apps that are good at this. There are apps like Hound that do this. But you know what? Hound is not what's on your phone when you hit the button. You're absolutely right. Mm-hmm. There's incredibly intuitive things. So one step back. If you're describing the kind of computer nerd who knows the ins and outs of this, like you know the incantations, you know the little like the virtual command line things you have to do to make this work. But you're right. Like
Wingardium Leviosa.
10 points to Slytherin. But if you don't know that, like, what are the kinds of things that you would want to know? And you're absolutely right. That's pretty much a perfect example. You know, if you were just going to say like abstractly to people, maybe stuff like there are some things that do work, Like you could say like, "Where's my wife?" Or you could say,
No, you can't.
You know,
You can't do
Sure.
that.
yeah.
No.
Okay,
I'm
hold
trying.
on. Where's my wife? Oh shit.
Did she flee the country? What's happening?
So I've got a map of the United States.
No.
Uh,
Hang on, let me
oh,
try. Let me
yep,
try. Let me try.
Yep,
Let me try.
there she is.
Where is my wife?
Well, but you don't have.
I don't have a wife.
Okay, you don't then.
Don't insult me.
That may be beyond my abilities at the moment.
All
How
right,
dare
all right.
you? Do you have any idea who I am? I host America's #3 anti-Semitism and powder podcast.
Tell me when my wife leaves work. Okay, and that pops up a thing, and now I will get a push when she leaves the office. Like again, but not. I mean, that's the kind of question. Like maybe it's sort of like beginner's mind sort of thing. There's sort of things like a little kid might ask. A little kid is not going to go, "Well, I need an umbrella today." Like that's not how you would use it. For me, like what time does our library opens at different times, closes at different times, different weekdays. So like what time does my library open is exactly the kind of thing that you would expect it to be able to do, and it doesn't. Did you ever play with Hound at all,
Yes,
Alex?
it is super cool, but it's
It's
Hound.
super
It's
nerdy,
not
but
Siri.
it is pretty bonkers as a proof of concept for what you can do with this stuff.
So yeah, and I kind of wanted to back up because I know back when you were Merlin Mann and back when I was a young innocent person not on an anti-Semitic podcast, I was really into the original app Siri and was just like blown away and got so happy when Apple bought it, and then it was on the 4S, and then nothing. Like it still feels like that weird toy that oh man, I was so excited going into this challenge, and I was like, I'm gonna bring all these points as to why Max is going to be wrong and why it's really great. But wow, it has not. Oh, I don't know. It's Amazon really feels like it's an operating system that has a language and you can figure it out. But Siri, it still feels like even if I'm saying exactly what it wants to hear, it just like the server will be down, or sometimes Hey Dingus just does not work at all. And
Especially on the watch.
Yeah,
I don't. I mean, if I draw my hand up into the air and hold it to my lips like Dick Tracy, it will sometimes get me. But if I try and casually address it the way I would the lady in a tube, pretty much just doesn't do it. Which is the way I don't want to have to stop what I'm doing and look at my watch to talk to it. That's not what I want to do with this.
My main so I actually use Siri and my tube friend very regularly. So the main challenge for me was to try to use Siri on my watch, which was like a complete failure.
Alex, you strike me as a woman who's never been satisfied.
God damn. Oh,
I remember that. I remember that night.
All right. So
I totally agree with you. It's that this is the place where it should, in your head, like it should be the Dynamite killer app. Close the deal. We're done. We've entered a new world. Dunzo. But you're absolutely right. Like my watch just does not hear me.
And then it's like a snarky bitch about it. It's like, hold on.
That's
Hold on.
the thing.
Okay.
We were texting a bit about this earlier, and I was trying to figure out what it is that makes it so extra galling. And when you sent that screenshot of like, trying to use your Siri to contact your mom, I think that really kind of nails what makes this extra frustrating. Because there's the one thing which is, okay, there's a little bit of a learning curve to this. Plus, there's the remembering to use it. Okay, so I've done a little bit of learning curve. I've learned how to use it. Sometimes it doesn't hear me, or sometimes it doesn't hear me right. It's getting better at that. Working on its own, the Hey Dingus functionality, which just to clarify here, there's a way that you can manually cause Siri to hear you. So you can either push the crown on your watch. I think this is worth clarifying because it's not clear to people that there is a distinction. You can have this functionality. The thing that you can do on any iOS device that has Siri turned on is you can press and hold the home button to cause it to listen for what you're going to say. Ditto with your watch by holding down the crown. I know everybody knows this. By flipping on the Hey Dingus functionality, you could do that without touch. right? So you don't have to hit the button. You don't have to hit the crown. When you address into the air and say, hey, dingus, it should go beep, beep, and start listening to what you're saying. So far, so good, right? So like the problem is that part doesn't work that well. When it does hear you, it sometimes doesn't get it right. The things that it doesn't get right are this is symptomatic of what's fucked up about Apple, is that in some ways, they've abstracted this stuff and made it so simple, it's virtually impossible to know. Sometimes you don't know that something went wrong, and then you don't know why that thing went wrong. Like if it didn't capture you right, well, guess what? If you don't go check your watch to make sure it heard you, guess what? You're not going to have your alarm tomorrow morning.
Mm-hmm.
So now you've lost confidence in that. This stops being a thing that's useful for that purpose. But then here's the part that I feel like you guys are both saying. It's a smart ass about it. Like I said to you in text today, it's like having a 14-year-old boy, a slightly precocious 14-year-old boy as your personal assistant. I'm like, I already know that. Why are you telling me that? I heard you. I'm just not going to do it. Oh my God! Why don't you get a life?
That's, to your point, Merlin. One of the worst things about using Siri for this week for things like reminders and alarms and stuff is sometimes, like 20% of the time or 10% of the time, you go through and I say the thing and I can see on the screen it transcribes what I said correctly, and I'm like, okay, cool. Like I'm like set an alarm for 8 o'clock, right? And then I can see on the screen it reads out correctly, like Siri set an alarm for 8 o'clock, but then it just doesn't do it. I don't know why. Maybe I was supposed to say okay or reply or maybe I missed a step.
With Hey Dingus, up until recently, it's not unusual for 3 different devices to hear it 3 different ways. Yes, I know it's really tough to be a white guy with multiple devices. But if you do Hey Dingus, you could get heard by multiple things, and you don't find out until 8 minutes later when 3 different devices demand that you take out the pasta, but it's spelled different ways and because it heard different things.
That's what's crazy. That the thing where like it might fail. There's like a 10% chance that it just didn't take, and you don't really know unless you go check on it, which defeats the whole purpose of using voice commands.
Right.
Is a little infuriating.
Yeah, and the thing is with Lady in a Tube, now that I have spent more time, and just if you're a new listener, hello, welcome to the Premier Powder and Anti-Semitism podcast. A thing that I do is from Friday nights through most of Saturday, I try to use voice for everything that I can. That means I am using Lady in a Tube a lot more. I am using my watch a lot more. I'm using yelling into the air at my Apple devices a lot more. And what this has caused for me is what I just want to call almost a regression. There are so many things I felt like Siri had gotten so much better at. And I'm curious if you guys get this. I more and more get the hands in the air like you just don't care, throw me to Bing because you don't understand what it is that I asked about. And I feel like you used to understand what I was asking about.
I think there's a curve. I actually don't. I mean, I sort of I can relate to that experience, but I interpret it a little bit differently, which is I just think there's a slight curve of like first Siri really sucked and we didn't use it, and then it got a little bit better or a lot better, and then we started using it for a lot more, and now we're all accustomed to using Siri more and more, counting on it more and more.
It's like a cognitive bias.
Yeah, but it's like it was never that good. It never got like that good. So now we're just more aware. The more we depend on it, the more we become aware of its like inherent.
Well, and to your point exactly, the part B of this, how more acutely I go, holy fucking shit, Lady in a Tube. It's astonishing how often homonymous words it'll get right. It gets the context of it seems to use context to go like it gets names like Eliza style names correct. And I'm like, how did it do that?
I talk to Alexa like a fucking drunk because like I start saying things to Alexa without knowing where I'm going sometimes. So like I realize like we need trash bags, and so I start to tell Alexa like order these trash bags, but then I realize I've thrown the box with the trash bags in the garbage. So then I have to paw through the garbage to pull the trash bag out. And I start reading, and I'm like, Alexa, order trash bags. Oh shit, the 100, this one, the brand with this thing, and this property, and the Force Flex, but not that one. And then it's like, and then it goes like thinking. It's like, did you want this? And I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what I wanted. It somehow pieces it together.
Yeah. Yeah, it is really.
It's like, you know what
stark.
it is? It's like Richard Simmons' maid. That's what I want, is a loyal maid who lives with me and orders my trash bags, no matter how drunk and weird I get.
Do you want to also have a Morrow? Do you want to also have a personal massage therapist who might think that your maid is a killer? Is that the kind of thing you think you'd want?
You want your servants to.
Oh my God! There were so many air quotes.
Be stabbing each other in the back.
Just say it's his hand job guy. It's his Hanjo BA. Just say it.
Is this from the Richard Simmons podcast I haven't listened to? I'm very confused.
No, it's my guy. I got a guy.
Okay.
All right.
Like I said,
right.
he's a massage guy. He's a massage guy.
Listen,
He helps me out. He
all
knows
right,
your life. He's real
listen,
bulky.
here's the thing with Siri that drives me crazy. So Siri does a thing where Siri works very quickly now. When you hold the button down, it just like boom, you're on. Siri's live. Let's go. And the way that it does this is, I think there's a little bit of black magic where it's actually the phone is like always listening. So it is always getting the last 3 seconds of sound.
I have personally tested this. It will, if you start talking before the part where you're actually talking, it will capture what you said before you hit the button.
Okay,
I've tested
so that's accurate. I'm not crazy.
Nope.
Okay.
I think
So
Daniel Jopka had the same result.
It's always recording just and buffering like a few seconds of sound in there. And then when you hit the button, it's able to use what just happened and incorporate it into the thing. Now, has this ever happened to you? I am sometimes listening to a podcast through my iPhone speakers, right? I'm playing Overcast. I don't have headphones. I'm just blasting it right out of the phone. And then I remember that I need something. And I'm like, Siri, remind me to murder a dog when I get back from work. And then what it does is it gets that, but it also appends the last 3 seconds of the podcast I was listening to.
Twice a day.
So it's like, and then Richard Simmons, his personal masseuse came over and
an
remind
Joe
me.
BA.
Yeah, his Joe BA came over and remind me to kill a dog when I get home from work. It's like, that's not helpful.
None of those coffee tables.
Yeah, and then it's like, do you want me to do a Bing search for Joe BA, for hand Joe BA? No, I don't want that. I don't want that in my search history.
You don't want to get fucked.
I feel like two different things are happening. Something with the just like the iCloud servers. I don't know if the iCloud servers and like the Siri servers are a similar, like they're in the same building. I know they keep buying up more server space. More server space for both. But there was this like article that came out last year in August, and it was called like the iBrain is here, and it's already inside your phone. And it feels like I want it to be that Apple is going to blow us out of the water with some standalone Siri device, and it's just going to reveal that they've had thousands and thousands.
Why would they do that? Because the thing is, because you already have the Siri on your wrist, you have Siri and the Siri balls in your ears, and it's in your phone, which is always with you, or your iPad. I mean, when do you ever not have your phone or your iPad?
I think it's going to be a matter of Hey Dingus just does not work as well as Lady in the Tube ever. And I don't know, they can position it as like a speaker thing, but like the reason I want to use Apple for all of my shouting at device needs is because I am like, it's very clear how they're getting my money, and it's very clear like why they have my data. And I mean, the whole Google advertisement thing, like, what the fuck? Come on. That's really creepy and just icky. And I don't know if I'll ever.
I almost wonder. I have to wonder if that's a bug, and not a bug, but like something that was on staging somewhere and accidentally got deployed, because that seems awfully early to do that.
You're talking about the Beauty and the Beast?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it seems like that seems like an oversight. Like, sure, they've certainly thought about ads, but it's so ham-fisted.
Let me tell you something. I am almost certain that this is happening. This is my most paranoid conspiracy theory that I believe. I think we talked about this. God,
yeah,
well,
the purple underwear stuff.
Yeah. We've talked about this, but I think
this is back on the other program.
That's right. I think that these always listening devices in your house are doing some sort of natural. They're constantly recording and doing some sort of natural language processing on your conversations, and when they hear you and your spouse talking about buying a dishwasher, you're going to start seeing dishwasher ads online. I'm almost 100% sure this is happening.
You think it's something that's buried somewhere as quality assurance? That's the reason we're doing this, or do you think they're just sliding it in?
Well, I think that their terms of service allow them to do this. Like there's nothing in there that would prohibit them from doing this. And if I was them, I'd be doing it. Right? If you're Amazon, Amazon's not a company that's like renowned for its like amazing like privacy and corporate ethics. So like if I was Amazon and I had a little microphone in everyone's house and I had the sort of EC2 power to just do natural language processing on everything that everyone says, which we've also had listeners from the show. I had assumed erroneously that the only reason not to do that would be because of the tremendous processing power required, and a number of listeners sent in articles showing that it's actually like trivially easy and does not require much processing power at all to do, especially because you're not really trying to transcribe the conversation. All you're trying to do is identify target keywords like new television, right? You're not trying to listen to the whole conversation. But I do think it's listening to what you're saying. It's pulling keywords out of the air and then using that to change your Amazon environment and your online ad environment. That's why there's a race for this space. Like, what the fuck does Google care about having a thing in your house that tells you the weather? Like, they don't give a shit about that. They want the ads. They're an ad company. Everything Google does, it helps them sell ads. If they're doing it, it's because they think it'll help them sell ads. If they get rid of it, like Google Reader, it's because it turns out it didn't help them sell ads. So that's how to understand the corporate motivations of all of these companies.
And that's why I'm more comfortable with Amazon knowing all of my shit, because their goal is to get me to buy more shit, and they're good at selling me shit. And it's kind of I'm kind of okay with that. Like, I've made my peace with it, but I just, man, like, Apple is also really good at selling me hardware, and I will buy all of their expensive shit, but they're so secretive, and they can't get AI researchers to stay because they can't publish their findings, and they can't say, oh my God, we made this major breakthrough, whereas papers are coming out of Google
I think
and
that
Amazon
is a really good point that gets missed. Is like you if you are at the top of your game in whatever it is that you do, the way I always say it is you want sharp tools and interesting problems. And they may have the sharp tools, but maybe not the interesting problems. And you're going to go somewhere else, like maybe you go to Tesla, maybe you go to Facebook, maybe you go to Google, because they're going to like give you the runway to do something that's a crazy unsolved problem that you get to have your name on at some point.
Yeah, and it's like, God, it's just heartbreaking to me, because I think I might have I don't know if I mentioned this last week, but there was a episode of Control Walt Delete, the podcast, the Verge cast with Walt Mossberg, and they were talking about the big five companies and how like all of these amazing startups are just getting eaten up, and how like there was this one company, Viv, I don't know, and it was co-founded by the guys who originally made Siri, and it was just like mind-blowing what it could do. And one of the very first examples was on the way to my brother's house, I need to pick up some cheap wine that goes well with lasagna. And it shows exactly like how, I'll put it in notes, like how this is parsed and how it'll figure out how to help you. And then Samsung bought it. And Samsung isn't even part of the top five, and no one's ever going to have this because no one like us buys, no rich assholes like us buy Samsung phones. So it's like, well, what does this happen?
And we'll never know what kind of wine to have with our lasagna.
we're not gonna get the cheap wine with our lasagna.
I haven't tried this demo in a while. I kind of want to try that Crazy Hound demo again. Do you remember that one, the crazy one?
What was the crazy one? No.
Let me try it again. What is the population and capital of Japan and China, and their areas in square miles and square kilometers? Also tell me how many people live in India and the area code for Germany, France, and Italy.
The population is 127,288,000 for Japan, and 1,330,044,000 for China, and the capital is Tokyo for Japan, and Beijing for China. The area is 145,882 square miles and 377,834 square kilometers for Japan, and 3,705,405 square miles and 9,597,008 square kilometers for China. The population of India is 1,173,108,018. The area code is 49 for Germany, 33 for France, and 39 for Italy.
Oh God, I've just got a full Latner for that. That was amazing. Holy shit.
Why though?
Well, and so I know, Max. I know. Just cool it for a second. Like, I know who would do that. But what I want to point out is a couple things. Third, I want to point out how fast it talks back to you, because you can understand language a lot more quickly than like people who are unsighted or weirdly sighted, I don't want to say blind, can listen to stuff so crazy fast that you and I can't understand. Well, first of all, Hound understands. You can understand stuff a lot faster than you think. So we're not going to treat you like a dummy. You can turn that down if you want. Okay, so yeah, who would want this? I get that. But here's the thing I just want to point out. The amount of time between me finishing that, however many was, 50 words, and it having the result and spitting it out. That's hair curling. That something is tuned there, and who knows? Maybe this is just one that they have in the can because this is one of the examples that they use. I kind of doubt it. I've tried it with other things, not perfect, but this is not multivariate. This understands context and understands what I mean by that and this. It knows that if I ask a follow-up question, bring back into context. So you could say stuff like, "What's the capital of New York?"
The capital of New York is not in my database.
Oh!
Wow. Really? Oh.
What's the weather like in Manhattan?
Anyway, you were saying?
The weather is 32 degrees and sunny in Manhattan.
How many people live there?
The population of Manhattan is 1,487,536.
What state is that in?
The first administrative division of Manhattan is New York.
Okay, Max, full points. Holy shit. So it knows all of that stuff. What did I get wrong that it would not know Albany?
Merlin, you're in like an abusive relationship. You're like, how is this my fault?
You can listen. Max is
did
so
I make him
nice to me.
angry?
You don't know how nice he is to me.
Wait,
The thing is, he's really busy with his work, and he's so. The thing is, he has to drink because it's very stressful.
All right,
He's
now
so
this
nice.
sounds like my
I
relationship.
was gonna say
Yeah.
you're just describing me, Merlin. Let's let's move on. But wait,
Hey, wait, who's the abuser? I'm confused.
I work a lot. Anyway, what was the question that you asked Hound that it got wrong?
I think it was. What is the capital of New York?
Guys, I'm playing video games on my iPhone. Let me know when you're done.
All right, hold on. I feel like this is a bug.
Capital of New York is not in my database.
What is the capital of New York?
The capital of New York is not in my database.
Holy shit.
This feels like a bug, though.
Yeah.
What is the capital of Illinois?
The capital of Illinois is Springfield.
Yeah, that's a bug. I'm willing
What
to.
is the capital of the state of New York?
The capital of New York is Albany.
See, he's so
Okay.
nice to me when you guys aren't around.
Yeah.
He hits me
Well-
because I'm bad.
Oh my god. I think this is super interesting though too because Hound gets both of the things right that Siri seems to have a problem with is the language parsing and the microphones. That's why I'm like, oh well, I try to give her a pass because you know her microphone, it's really tiny, but I'm talking to it the same way I would use Siri, and it's faster, and I don't know, like, do we?
I don't know if you guys want a random computer voice to mumble facts at you autistically. Why don't you go on the comment section of a website?
Ooh,
Where's the McDonald's on Wacker Drive?
The Rock and Roll McDonald's?
McDonald's near Walker Way, Sacramento.
Sacramento. I guess there's a Wacker there.
are you talking about Chicago Wacker or San Francisco Wacker? Which Wacker?
Where's there a McDonald's in walking distance that's open late tonight?
Showing one result matching McDonald's within 1.5 miles that is open at 11 o'clock p.m.
All right, that's cool.
Who is Max Temkin?
No,
boy.
No.
Showing search results for who is Max Temkin? No.
Boo. How many calories are in kombucha?
No results found.
Ooh.
How many calories in a Big Mac?
There are 468 calories in one McDonald's Big Mac.
It is, on the one hand, like almost unusefully brilliant at things that may or may not be useful, but then almost incommunicative about the stuff that's really important.
I am interested in because I think we've made a good case and here and on all your great shows about why voice is really important, and voice is going to not just voice, like voice is the parlor trick. Voice is what gets people into this. Touchscreen is what gets people into smartphones. But I'm curious as to why Max thinks that this is like a MacGuffin, and you don't think that anyone's going to use voice for any computer
Well,
interfaces.
eventually so I actually think that one of the smartest things that anyone said about this, so I'm really engrossed in this video game that I started.
now
while you
I
guys
need
were
to know
fucking
which-
around.
are you
Playing
playing
Clash Royale.
Oh.
I'm clashing. I got a big clash going on. Fuck me. Oh, I lost. That's a heartbreak.
Did you lose your king hat?
Shouldn't have been trying to talk while I was doing it. All right, I'm sorry, guys. That was on me. Should have
Low
not been
energy.
paying attention to the podcast while I was playing that. I apologize to the whole clan. Listen,
Oh, I'm in the clan. Fuck that. Oh no. Oh, there goes our chests. All right. Anyway.
here's the deal. I think the smartest thing that anyone said about this is I'm pretty sure it's John Syracuse's sort of thing where he's like, there's sort of a gulf of like, if you tell people there's a little smart man on the phone who can answer your questions, most people will like assume it has capabilities that it doesn't and treat it like an intelligent kind of an AI. And the truth is we don't have AI, right? We don't even have a soft AI. It's a really dumb, programmatic, logical computer thinking kind of a thing. You know, it doesn't even have the sort of like lateral thinking abilities of
He compares
like,
it to like computer Go or computer chess, where it's like at this one thing, it knows the tricks.
That's right. Yeah, but it's like very it's like too orderly. Like it doesn't even have the lateral thinking skills of like a neural net where it can interrelate two pieces of information or anything like that. So anyway, that's the problem is like when you say it's like the thing that's going to get people, it's the big feature that's going to get people into the phone or whatever. Like I sort of don't see it because they're going to use it and it's the reality of using it is not going to meet with their expectations of what it can do, and then they'll be disappointed. But
That's not what I said or not what I meant. What I mean is I'm sorry, this is the third fucking podcast where I said this, but I think this is important that there's a stack to this, that the voice part, they call this in the same way that Steve Jobs called this thing a phone. How often do you use your iPhone as a phone? Right?
Constantly.
So what we're calling this stuff is voice, but it's not the voice. The voice is the least important part of the stack. The voice is the top layer that makes you go, oh, gee whiz, I could use that, maybe. But it's what's happening underneath the layers. It's the ubiquity combined with the functionality. And I think the ubiquity and the functionality is going to end up being tons more important than the voice part. The voice part, like, will eventually on John Syracuse's infinite time scale, yes, voice stuff will get great. Voice stuff will get better at it than we are, right? In the same way that computers play chess better than we do at this point. It's just that, you know, I think the reason just for this one audience that doesn't care about any other shit I do, the reason I'm saying this is that I think to say, oh, this voice stuff is silly, it didn't understand what I said, is to utterly miss what's happening under the surface of the voice stuff that is going to be so much more important than whether you can ask it if you need an umbrella. That's the part of the technology story that I think a lot of people are missing. Is it's easy to laugh at the voice stuff because it is not there yet. But like, look at the parts of it that are there yet. See where that is going. And watch a little kid use a computer. Because, you know, we're used to going like, oh, I prefer this kind of gaming mouse. It's like, okay, guess what? My kid talks into the iPad, corrects things by talking into the iPad. And that's the future. So I don't know. That's why I don't want to say it's frustrating because I don't have a dog in the fight, but I sometimes feel slightly misunderstood or that I communicate about this poorly because I'm saying like, oh, it's really going to be about walking around your house and talking. No, it's the walking around the house and talking that enables us to open our mind to what this shit can do when we're not sitting at a computer typing. And that's the story that I think we lose when we go into 45-year-old man mode and go, rah, that's silly, bring back my pony. That's all I mean to say about this. But this was a very successful challenge in the sense that we realize how shitty and really unreliable a lot of this is. And I think that's valuable to know. I think that's valuable for the people who make this to know. It's valuable for us to know. And if you're making decisions about what you're going to trade off in terms of privacy and disclosure, that's all very good stuff to know.
Who let the dogs out?
Woot, 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 woot. Sausage, Democrat sausage.
Poop dog.
The other interesting thing that wasn't part of the challenge, but what I figured out is there are a ton of things that if the voice functionality was taken away, I would be very, very cranky. Like I haven't opened up iOS reminders in like 2 years. Mostly for all of my personal stuff, most of it is just ordered on Amazon through the Alexa. And we set like 12 timers at a time on it. What else? Oh, dictation.
I wish that, you know what?
Yeah.
Here's one thing. I wish to Christ that the lady in a tube, I don't know what to call it, would get named timers and named reminders. That sounds so dumb, but so much of what I use, like I said to Gruber on that show today, is like, it's me like saying, remind me to do this thing in X minutes. And but you know what drives me crazy though is we're sitting there watching TV, and out of nowhere we hear because Amazon's reminding you about something, and you're like, why is it beeping? Like it's weird how quickly that became weird. Where it used to be alarm meant time to wake up in morning, and now it's not an alarm, that's an alert, and it's an alert about what. So like, tell me what that means. Ugh. I'll tap you when I'm ready. Give me a fucking break. Yeah. So something related to the lady in a tube. The multiple device problem is getting fixed. So I did make a bitch list. I had to manually create the bitch list.
Oh, please. I want to hear the bitch list.
Well, you've already heard most of these. The big frustration, I mean, I want the stupid watch will feel like a transformative device when I can just casually, like if we were talking right now and I casually held it, it heard me and it did a thing. This would be a transformative device. You ready for this? How about this becomes such a transformative device that I don't even think about whether it has a screen anymore. That's when you'll know it's working. But as it is right now, to do that, and I'm repeating myself, I have to pick it up, right? It has to turn on. I have to start talking. I have to make sure it heard me because it probably didn't. It'll tap me when it's ready, bro. And so I end up pulling it up to my mouth, drawing it to my mouthful area, and hitting the digital crown just to make it hear me. Like that's we're not there yet. And then when it does hear me, yeah, so on and so forth. What else did I have? Multiple echo lifestyle feels like the future. Totally think that's true. Just the language for adding. This is really boring. I'm sorry. I should stop. Cut all this out. Cut all this out. We're going back to dog killing.
Do you have a Series 0, Series 1 watch? Like I'm curious because I have the original Apple Watch Sport, and I wonder if the reason it's so sassy is because it's old and its microphone isn't as good. I don't know.
You've said or intimated several times that you think you might need a new watch. That you have suspicions that yours is not doing its thing right.
Yeah, well, and I also should let people know that I get very frustrated with my phone's microphone, but I do take it in the shower to listen to podcasts every morning. So
wow,
that might.
I have not tested that yet. I have the.
Wait a minute, you don't get a little
the
Bluetooth speaker?
Well, it was like $12 and it broke, and then I'm like, oh, this is waterproof. I'm not putting it under the shower. It's just like off in the corner, but it gets pretty humid in there.
Very humid.
Yeah, so.
I listen to a loud iPad in the bathroom, but we used to have a shitty little Bluetooth speaker. No, I mean I had the first one. I had the Sport, the cheapy first one. Then when the new Sport came out, I got that and gave my lady the older one. Which the thing is, she's an actual athlete, so she wants one of those big ass watches that does real stuff with your body and GPS and stuff like that. But no, I mean, I feel like in my gut, the bigger it's cool that it does the thing like spits out the water when you swim and stuff like that. That's really cool. I think the bigger change is probably in the software, which you're already benefiting from.
Turn the dial.
It makes like a SpongeBob sound.
God.
But are you gonna hold out? Because you like your Dingus, but are you gonna hold out until a newer one comes out?
I guess. Yeah. I mean, they're pretty expensive, and I don't know. Well, I thought, a new iPad might be coming. Just kidding.
Yay.
Oh boy.
It's like medium-sized everything nowadays. It's like. You know what I mean? It's like there isn't really like a pro anything. It's like, just everything's a medium-sized drink at Apple now. Hey, we have a new medium-sized drink. Costs a little less. I was like, okay, that's going to appeal to somebody, theoretically.
Oh, Merlin, did I tell you my crazy MacBook Pro story?
No.
So I'm using this MacBook Pro.
Oh, you were playing with his adorable and yeah, I think you did mention this. Tell the story.
So since like maybe after the first month, I got the like totally tricked out MacBook Pro with the Touch Bar. It started being like kind of flaky, like weird things would happen. There would be a lot of restarts. The Touch Bar would freeze. And we all know like Chrome is a memory hog, but like there'd be a lot of weird crashes, and then. Especially Final Cut and Logic were doing some strange things, so I brought it to the Genius Bar. I'm like, your RAM. I think there might be something wrong with your RAM. Have you been doing any strenuous activity like editing video or audio? And I'm like, my MacBook Pro? Yes, I have, literally 2 hours ago. And they're like, oh, well, I think we need to take it back. I'm like, no. I'll come back later because I need my laptop. So later this week, I'm gonna give it to them, and they're gonna. I don't know what they're going to do. So I borrowed Max's MacBook Adorable, and this is like the first generation one that everybody pissed all over. But just setting it up, and I don't know, it just seemed much easier, and it seems like not faster than my MacBook Pro, but like faster than it should be. Yeah, and I don't, and I'm not like you. I can't run a Mac stock. I have to install Alfred and all my weird things and disable the dashboard. Like it just, I would go crazy if I couldn't do that. But it still feels normal. I don't know, and I'm wondering if it is. You don't
feel sort of hobbled by it.
No, and like I've been talking to like a lot of people in the office got Touch Bar MacBook Pros, and a lot of them are having the same issues, and a couple people have had the same RAM issues. But
seriously?
But nobody has had problems with the MacBook Escape, and this could be just crazy, tinfoil hat stuff. But I don't know. It bums me out.
It should bum you out. I mean, whatever. Continue on next 50 podcasts. It's nuts that you just can't throw your money at Apple.
Literally the next podcast you listen to in Overcast.
Well, like, take my money. Like, take the money, like, whatever. If you want to charge $6,000 for this laptop, you want to hear a crazy thing? There are people who will buy that. If it is completely tricked out and, like, the top of the line, everything, and it does all the things, and the chips are upgraded, there are some dinglings who would pay that. And even if you want to charge $4,000 for it, there are people who would do it. But like to just not make it available, to like not update the Mac Pro. I'm sorry. You heard us, Apple. Boy, poor Marco. Did you hear ATP this week?
I wanted to like send him some flowers.
He's wounded.
Yeah.
I mean, he sounds kind of like a freshman libertarian, like a new libertarian. Like he's ready for heads to roll. He sounds like he just finished 9 Rand book. Like he's mad and hurt. He sounds like feels wounded.
I think Max is literally asleep. But he's the kind of guy who can use his phone and it just works for him. So I'm very happy about that.
Yeah.
And it hasn't hit REM sleep yet, but getting there.
Remember when the worst thing that happened in the White House was the president got a blowjob?
Yeah, he came on a dress. He had a cunnilingus cigar.
What I wouldn't give for that. I'd even take a Republican president who merely got a blowjob in the office versus committing treason. Did you guys see that Roger Stone has a tattoo of Richard Nixon on his back?
Is that true?
He did.
What?
100% true.
How?
The Babadook, yeah.
The steampunk Babadook.
That was a very funny thread.
He's so gross. And did you, of course, you watched the front lines and the mini son and daughter front lines from The Choice. They recycled The Choice. This year, they recycled The Choice into like 4 different shows. I don't know if you caught that. Mm-hmm. But the interviews with him and that, you're like, oh, this guy. Oh, man. You get it. He throws the shape, is all I'm going to say about Roger Stone. You get a feeling from that guy.
Donald Trump has a real penchant for collecting these, like, broken, corrupt, evil people who are completely desperate and will do anything for power and credibility. Chris Christie or, these people, or oh, my God, that Giuliani. All these fucking guys, right?
They're so craven. They can't even be troubled to cover up. They're not even like a senator type. They can't even be bothered to cover up how craven their desire for their mojo is.
That's why Trump likes them. It's because ultimately they're all extremely compromised, and he has total leverage over them. Like Roger Stone is a joke.
Is he really?
Oh, Roger Stone is a joke outside of Trump. Trump is the only since Nixon, right? He's a Nixon guy. And since,
absolutely.
And since Nixon, he's just been a joke, a laughingstock of American politics. I mean, not even a laughingstock is putting it too charitably because it implies that people think about him and laugh. They don't. Right. He's nobody. He's washed up. His only contribution to American politics is that he's been trying to get He took Trump very seriously and tried to get Trump to run for governor and president over many years. So it's like, Trump loves this guy and he's very loyal to him because he knows that he has nothing outside of Trump. Same with Breitbart. What's that fucking guy? Bannon.
You mean walking AIDS? Oh God.
It looks like
Did you guys see the thing about the acid in the hot
looks
tub?
like a case of AIDS developed a person.
Did you guys see the thing about the acid in the hot tub?
No.
Yes.
What?
Yes.
Let me
what's
read. Let me
this?
find this and read it.
Oh
It's-
yeah! Yay! Here he goes.
It's
He's back.
unbelievable.
He's back from the Clash of Crowns.
All right, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. This is from Esquire. The Washington Post reported a story on Saturday investigating counselor to the president Steve Bannon's legal residence, since no one really knows where he lives. But in the course of that investigation, they uncovered something that is even more disturbing. A hot tub at a house where Bannon claimed to live looked like it was filled with acid. The Post started looking into Bannon because while he claimed residency in Florida, he was spending most of his time in D.C., but his address was listed at his business manager's office in California. In fact, prosecutors in Miami have opened an investigation into Bannon's claims to be a Florida resident from 2014 to 16.
Yeah, and like
the
if
theory-
you find us in the
theory is
bathtub,
that-
just ask my ex-wife. Have her take care of it.
God.
The theory is that Bannon claimed to live in Florida because the state does not have an income tax, therefore allowing him to avoid paying taxes on his earnings by claiming to reside there. And then shit gets weird. The Post obtained a February 2015 email from Bannon's former landlord that read, quote, "Entire jacuzzi bathtub seems to have been covered in acid." What? The landlord also noticed that padlocks had been installed on interior doors, creepy, while other doors
God.
were totally removed, also creepy. "I'm out of town."
Oh my God.
"I'm out of town," Bannon responded, a likely story. "Is there any way you, spelled with the letter U, can talk with Diane and sort things out?" It leads to a disturbing...
Wait. Who's Diane?
His ex-wife.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
It leads to a disturbing question I never thought I'd ask. What happened in Steve Bannon's bathtub? Was it a hot tub party gone awry? Did someone put too much chlorine in the water? Was someone trying to get rid of a body, Breaking Bad style?
my
The people
God.
deserve to know. Also, this is 100% an H.H. Holmes murder house.
Yeah.
And only in
wow.
Florida would the building code, with the lax enforcement of the building code, allow
like
you
an
to build a
acid bath.
modern. I mean, really, if I had to pick a state to build my murder mansion, and
I
obviously,
think it's gonna be like an alligator keeping meat in its locker. Like you have to earn the right to go into the sex dungeon. You're not gonna go in there the first week. You have to prove yourself worthy of the sex dungeon. You gotta, yeah, exactly. It's before you're in the clown mask.
why all of these people? Like, what the fuck is wrong with all of
What
these
is
fucking
happening?
monsters? Why are they all monsters? It's like there wasn't. Listen, I fucking hated the Bush administration. I could tell you the shit on any of the cabinet officials in the Bush administration. They were all cronies. They were all incompetent. They were all tied to industry.
But they were monsters within normal parameters.
Yes, but they were within the normal parameters of evil of evil ideologues without really any credentials. But these are like literal villains. Like that, who has a fucking hot tub full of acid in their house
I feel
and a
like
fake
needs it
address
for
where
his
they don't
work.
live? What the
I need
fuck?
that for my work.
I always remember the time, Max and I, we talk about this a lot, how we watched Enron, The Smartest Guys in the Room, and it was a really formative, documentary for us, and it's like, you see that, and you're like, wow, these are truly evil businessmen, but,
remember-
our kids are going to be watching documentaries
By the way,
about, Bannon's serial killer house.
Alex, I want to tell you the oh shit. So in Enron Smartest Guys in the Room, one of the creepiest things that stories is that there was sexual promiscuity, and one of the executives, the trading floor executives, every night there was a rumor that he would party with strippers, and then on the way home he would stop at the gas station and splash a little gasoline on his clothes so that he didn't smell like strippers, so his wife would just think that he smelled like gasoline. And I remember
Sounds
watching
so normal.
And I remember
Sounds
watching that
so
documentary and going
normal.
wow, that's so fucking evil. That guy's such a liar. Here's a headline from yesterday. Here's a headline in the Washington Post from yesterday. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Headline from yesterday in the Washington Post. Labor nominee Acosta cut deal with billionaire guilty in sex abuse case involving 40 underage girls.
Oh, God.
Oh God.
What is it going to...
Let me read it again, because I feel like maybe you didn't catch all the
Really,
parts.
really want it to sink in.
Here's a headline. This is in the Washington Post from yesterday. Labor nominee, this is a cabinet position.
Oh, God.
Labor nominee Acosta cut deal with billionaire guilty in sex abuse case involving 40 underage girls.
Not just alleged. Guilty.
Guilty. That's true. Not alleged. It's
Not
it's-
alleged.
Yes, it's Jeffrey Epstein. Like we know we know he did it.
Yeah. I just.
You guys, though, a lot of it's just hearsay. You cannot prove that Steve Bannon is a guy who likes to fuck a severed foot while crying. You can't prove that. And it would be irresponsible. It would be irresponsible to say that he has a multi-tiered sex dungeon in his house that you have to quote unquote earn access to. There's
Listen,
locks on the inside because he's security conscious.
if there's a lot of things that I hope people learn from listening to this podcast, but one of the things that I hope that they don't do is Google foot pussy.